So on my channel, One Rental at a Time, we have talked about a buy box. We have talked about daily discipline. We've talked about building a tracking spreadsheet. We've talked about this being a buyer's market. These buyer's markets don't last a long time. We've talked about writing disrespectful offers. Well, one of the things that I do, and one of the things that a lot of the great investors that I work with, like Jason Pritchard, Omar, Adrian, and the list goes on, is we use PropStream to really help us investigate properties, look for equity positions, debt structures, length of ownership, and the like. I use that data to help me write disrespectful offers because I know that owners with very little equity aren't going to be very receptive to an offer like mine, where if somebody owned it free and clear, or maybe owned it for a couple of decades, I can get creative. Maybe not at a low price, maybe it's seller carry. There's so much information inside PropStream that I wanted to introduce it to my audience. I wanted to give my school members a chance to ask questions, and we will go from here. So Burton, do us a favor, introduce PropStream, what it is, what was kind of the mission, and then we'll get into the application and start taking questions.
You got it. Yeah. So our job really is to go become the middleman of data. Obviously, in the past, people would physically acquire their data at the county level or the county clerk's office. That's what we're doing. We're taking that same data, the pre-foreclosure data, the property details, the cash transactions, the high equity data, and data from outside sources like the MLS and mortgage information, and bringing it to you, hence the name PropStream. So for a monthly subscription of $97 a month, and Michael's gonna actually, thank you, Michael. He put the link in the chat here. You'll be able to try it out for 7 days, and then the monthly subscription is just $97 a month. There's no yearly subscriptions or anything like that. So if you don't need it, you can definitely put an end to it if you want. But that's going to give you access to nationwide data. And in just a few moments, I'm going to show you what you can do with that data. But pretty much you'll have two important things, and that's what Michael mentioned: to analyze individual properties or to manipulate our data so you can generate on or off market leads.
Yeah, one of the things, again, there's so much here that a lot of the experts use, like Jason Pritchard, one of the guys I put on the Mount Rushmore of my real estate investors, the top four. He does something he calls lead stacking, right? Where he pulls multiple lists together and he finds people that are on multiple lists. Again, the idea of finding motivated sellers, the way of finding pain, yeah, the more you find, the better chances somebody's going to be receptive. So again, we talked about Jason Pritchard having a record August where he made over $300,000 basically wholetailing properties. PropStream is what he uses to build his lists that go into his direct marketing. So, PropStream is a tool for the best of the best, but it also offers mom and pop investors like me, who's trying to find a new buy box in Las Vegas, AKA Henderson. I could just go into look at individual properties. Like, hey, I found this property, been listed a while. What can I know about the seller? Is it a rental? Did they own it a while? There's just so much data, even for a guy like me in a new area, to look at. So, yeah, I love PropStream's what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you so much. It means a lot. And that's the idea, is we wanted to kind of, again, make the headache of trying to go find this information on your own much easier. So with that said, let me share my screen so you guys can get a live example. And if you guys want to participate, you guys can go ahead and put your city in the chat, and I can use that during our demonstration.
Yeah,
so
let's
see how the
make
data
this
works.
thing real. Who's going to be first? Put your
So
city in the
put
chat.
it in there. Where I'd like to start is I'd like to show you guys quickly just kind of a table of contents of our application. So again, a lot of people will ask, what can it really do for that $97 a month? And this outline here will tell you exactly what we do. So again, there are two important things that you're going to be able to take advantage of when using PropStream, and that's to analyze a property. So analyzing a property is one of our expertise, and then lead generation. Now let's break down analyzing a property really quick. So when you search an address, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get property details. You're going to get demographics. Now you've heard that word before, but what's unique with PropStream's new demographics data set is we made it subject to each property within a mile. So literally no two properties have the same demographics because it's a mile within that subject property. So the house down the block, that demographics is going to be different. And you'll see things like how many owners versus renters are in the market, income brackets, how many people in a per household basis. So you could determine, is this going to be a rental asset? Is this going to be a fix and flip asset? Lots of really good information to help you decide your exit strategies. We'll also give you mortgage information. Michael just mentioned, the cool thing about real estate, there's so many different strategies out there. Wholesaling, novations, wholesaling, fix and flipping, subject twos, lease options, short sales. The list goes on and on. And to me, I think mortgage information is very important because that's going to allow you to determine what exit strategies will apply to the situation at hand. And that's what we're really good at, collecting the lender, the loan amounts. We're able to calculate your balance. We do collect up to 4 loan positions, so you could see if there's a credit line
Wow.
as well as the primary loan. So a lot of mortgage information there. Linked properties. Michael mentioned, getting more information about the owner. What we've done is we've taken their tax address, reversed engineer it, and show you how many other properties are also attached to that tax address. Again, that might be the factor of selling. Maybe they want to now downgrade their portfolio. Maybe their financial challenge is so dire that they need to sell more than one property. And now you have all of that information in front of you. You can run comps. So we do have public records and MLS records, like I mentioned earlier, so that you'll be able to get rental values, or you'll be able to see cash transactions that happened off market, or see what's active on the market that's been fully renovated, right? We don't know, again, the situation, so you'll be able to manipulate our comps if you need to. You can purchase documents. For $5, you can get the deed, the pre-foreclosure documents. Anytime you see an asterisk on our contents here, just a FYI, those are an additional cost. And last but not least, when you're analyzing a property, we have rehab calculators. So if you're trying to add an ADU, or if there is an ADU and you want to know what that additional cost could be, you can use our ADU calculator. Or maybe you want to know what the kitchen's going to cost you, or doing the roof. We have a rehab calculator as well. So that's all included when you search an address, except for the buy documents part. Now, in my firm belief, Michael just mentioned it, we got to generate leads before we start analyzing properties, unless you already have an address. And that's the second part of PropStream. You're going to be able to use our data to do some lead generation. There's 3 parts to it. Now, you don't have to use all 3 parts, but let me just share with you what those 3 parts are. Part 1 is to build your list. So you're going to be able to search any market, filter through our data, save your lists, and if you just need addresses, you can export that list. That is part 1. Part 2, skip tracing. What that means is we can get you a cell phone or an email. It starts at 12 cents. So for 12 cents an address, we can get you a landline, a cell phone, or the email. And at no additional cost, we can show you which numbers are on the do not call list if you need that. And then you can export that list that you just built in skip trace. That's part 2. Part 3 is marketing. In our marketing section, you can set up a website for that list, send postcards, as well as emails to that list. So that's our lead generation process. And then we do have some additional features, like you got the mobile app, which comes with your subscription, team members, so you don't have to buy a separate account for a fraction of the cost. You can give them their own username and password, and they will log into your account. So you can see their lists that they're building and stuff like that. And then my personal favorite add-on feature, List Automator. One of the things that you're going to come to find out is you're going to be searching the same filters again and again and again. And the reason being is you want more new records, right? We can do that for you. List Automator takes the list that you've already built and automates it, meaning not only will we search every day for you if there's any new records with the same filters, but when we do identify it, we'll move it automatically and email you. And at the same time, we'll clean up your list every day. If one of your properties goes on market and you request it off market, we'll email you and we can even remove that property from your list automatically. So every day you log in, you get to see what's coming in and you get to see what's being removed from your list. That way, every single morning, that list is as fresh and as accurate as possible. And that's our List Automator add-on. So this is our table of contents. I wanted to start here so you guys can see all the things that you'll have access to, even though I don't go over it today. Okay?
Very
All
cool.
right. Let's start with analyzing a property. This is one of the things I like to highlight because this, to me personally, is where our company started. We started by we're what we call a parcel-centric platform, meaning everything starts with the parcel. So we had to get that data first. So one of the suggestions to search was Jackson. Is this Mississippi, right? Okay, perfect.
Yep.
So when we're here, again, I can do either analyzing a property or I can do lead generation. But let's talk about analyzing a property. And this is, again, the power of PropStream. If any property in this market were to call me, I can either type in the address in the search bar. I don't have one at hand, or I can zoom in and just click on the parcel because, again, we're a parcel-centric database. So as I zoom in, you get to see the parcels, and then I get to click on that parcel, and we'll give you a brief description of that property, but you can go into the details and get more information. Let me show you the difference between searching an address and clicking on a parcel. I recommend that you actually search the address, and here's why. We go to work for you when you do that. Searching the address actually gives you more local knowledge. So that box you saw a few moments ago is now on the right-hand side. Subject properties in green. All the red dots are your nearby listings right below. So you can see any neighbors that sold and their characteristics. You could shift it to MLS listings around that property, pre-foreclosures that might have happened or foreclosures that might have happened. Below the map, we'll show you the statistics. So it would take the city that this property's in and show you trends like if there's been positive or negative price changes or rent changes, average days on market for certain bed types of properties, and then the local listings at the top. We'll show you how many properties are listed in this market, how many cash transactions have unfolded. So maybe you need a cash buyer or raise some private money. That might be the list for you in the area. But truth be told, after you search the address, most of our users will want to go into the details. And this is, again, what we pride ourselves on. Our job is to go get all that data that's scattered. We're a firm believer here at PropStream. Real estate's a jigsaw puzzle. And you guys are the problem solvers. It's your job to go get as many pieces to the problem and put it together and to get an idea of what's really happening with that property or that homeowner. That's our goal. That's our understanding. And so our goal is to go get that data, as much of it as possible. So first thing you're going to see when you pull up a property is not just the address and our tools like our rehab calculator and leaving notes and printing the property and even saving. Now, a thing about saving is I don't necessarily need to save this property. I can just search it and go through the tax information and look at all the other properties this LLC owns. I don't need to save this property at all. That's the cool thing about PropStream is you can search as many properties and view the details as many times as you want. Now, why would you want to save it? I'll give you three reasons. To either export this onto an Excel sheet, to either skip trace it, or mark it to this property. If you're not going to do any of the three, then you don't need to save the property. You can just analyze it and then move on if you'd like. Okay. But if you're going to export this to upload it somewhere, maybe get the phone number of this homeowner or market to it through PropStream, then that's when you're going to want to save that property. Okay. So just understand you're not forced to save unless you need to. So this is our property details page. Whether it's this property or maybe it's the neighbor down the street right over here, you're going to be able to go into the details and see the information on this property. So let's break down what you see. So address at the top, or tools at the top right, you have the dashboard dead center. First thing we're going to give you is a satellite image. If the property is on market and we obtained MLS photos, that's what you'll get first. You'll see the MLS photos instead of the satellite image. And so when this property populates, there you go. We get to see the MLS photos because this property is currently listed. So you'll see the photo and then the property characteristics below, which includes like whether the owner is occupying it. In this case, no, it looks like it's a rental property that's currently occupied. It's been owned for 2 years and 10 months. We can see estimated values, which is an AI generated value, by the way. We just did a huge uplift on this. Long story short, the AI is now used in court rulings and market trends, whereas before it used to be just like sell records and local trends. Now it is local trends, but more stronger data sets, but court rulings has been included in that. You can see last year's estimated value, mortgage and debt summary. So if there's a mortgage on the property, you'll see that. Let's see if I can find one with a mortgage really quick. Let's see here. How about a homeowner with a lien really quick here? All right, there it is. Okay, so when you have a mortgage, there's the mortgage. And then when you have an involuntary lien, like the homeowner here has a, looks like it's a personal lien, abstract of judgment. So someone's being sued. But yeah, $37,000 is what they owe this person supposedly, or this company. So you'll see any open notes, you'll see any involuntary liens against the title. The last time it sold, in this case, we don't see any public records recorded, but we do see that it sold on the MLS recently, right? Quit claim deed, opportunity. So I just pulled this address and we get to see all the information on the property's history. That's the dashboard. And if you still want to go further into the details of the property, property details will show you the owner's property, land location information like zonings and school district. To the right of property details, here's the cool thing about PropStream. This is what we call situational data. Since no two properties are the same, right after property details, you'll see things that are unfolding with the property. Like because this property has a lien, you see the lien tab. If a property was in pre-foreclosure, like this one we have here, this property will have a pre-foreclosure tab. If a property was purchased in cash, like these cash transactions here, there'll be a cash transaction tab within that property. If it's on the MLS, you'll see an MLS tab. Sometimes you'll see multiple tabs. Like this is, this was bought in cash in 2008, and then, it's now active on the market in today's market or today's database, right? And hey, is that $97,000 really the right price for this property? Or hey, I don't know, let's run comps on it. Let's do our own comps. So this is our comparable section. So it's always property details first, then those situational tabs, whatever may be happening that we've been able to acquire. And then if it's still good for you, you can run your comps here. So the comparables in nearby listings, the first box are your comparables. Everything else are just additional listings like who's flipping, your neighbors, cash transactions. The most popular boxes are comparables. And what's cool is you have access to public records or MLS records. Like I didn't know, but Mississippi is a non-disclosure state, meaning don't use public records because they don't disclose the price.
Hmm.
So go use our MLS records and go check out all of the sold listings that have happened within the market. And you do have filters. So you can do things like, hey, well, this property is a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom max. So here are my 3 bedrooms, 1 bathrooms that have been sold on the MLS. I can see days on market, bedrooms, square footage, really narrow down which is which, and then choose the ones I want. Again, I'm just randomly selecting here, but let's say 1, 3, and 5, these odd numbers are my favorite option. Now I have a new average sell price and go from there. So again, that's how you would run our comps. You could print reports on those comps, but that's how that tab works within the property details. And then you have our new demographics, like I talked about. So what's cool about this one is it's subject to a mile of this property. So we put a pin on it, 1 mile, and then slammed it with demographics to show you things like, hey, in this market, there's more renters than there are owners. So if you're about to acquire this asset, you might want to think long term because no one's trying to buy and live in this market right now, or at least in this 1 mile radius. Everyone's buying and renting. It might be a thing that this market does or whatever, but that's what's happening. Average income, income brackets, household composition. So just a little bit of information. How you translate it, we'll leave that up to you. Okay. Tax information. I smile every time I click on this because this was our first data set. We got the parcel, then we got the tax information, and then we just started evolving after that. But as I told you, we did take the tax bill address and reversed engineered it so you can see all the properties under that LLC. So
So
it
let me
looks like
just
we
make
pulled
sure I understood that he owns 4,363 properties, wherever this is.
No, this is government owned. So this
Ah,
property here, yeah, you see it's a government building. But yeah, you'll see things like you could pop it like if you see open door, you'll see
okay.
sometimes like Zillow, hedge funds are in here too. And we're
Nice.
going to talk about this in a few moments because we actually have a filter that lets you control the amount of properties that a person has or corporation has, which is really,
Hmm.
really cool. So if you are trying to look for a hedge fund, you can do like, hey, I need 5,000 minimum properties or more.
Wow.
LLC owned, or if you're looking for someone who's just starting their real estate journey, I need an individual with maybe 2 to 4 properties. I like to talk to them, see how I can help them, right?
So
So
your search criteria in are variable levers. You've added a lot
a
because
ton
you
of new
always, yeah,
filters.
yeah.
Yeah, ever since we started adding more data, our whole identity is if we're going to get new data, how can it be filtered, right? Because again,
Hmm.
I'm a firm believer lead generation is very important. So we don't want to just get a list and here's the list, right? Because a lot of our competitors are doing that. Our objective is let's get that list, let's make it communicate with our current data set, and then let's dissect it so that way we can give these filters to our users to what I call Frankenstein the situation, right? Create
Hmm.
whatever it is that they want to create. And we're going to talk about that in just a few moments.
Yeah.
But that's our link properties. Then we can show you our mortgage and transaction history. So if anybody has a mortgage, you'll see who the lenders are. So let's see if we can find that one property again with the mortgage. I think it was the property listed here. Here we go. So when we go to the mortgage, you can see the loan type, the lender, the loan amount, estimated interest rate. So again, whether you're doing something creative and you need to know what that potential rate is or who the lenders are, that information is available for you. And then last but certainly not least is the documents and reports. As I mentioned earlier, this area will hold your analysis wizard reports. So if you use that and save reports, you can access those reports again in the future here. But the premium reports, this is where you can purchase the accessors map or any document images that this property might have in our database. Okay, so if you want to know, how many people are on the title of this property, you'll know. And I think that's important because one of our categories that we're going to show you is deceased owners. How many other people are also on the title, right? And so you can take advantage of that stuff right there. But that's our property details. So again, that's one aspect of PropStream, and that's when you do have a lead or an address, or maybe you went driving for dollars and you saw that abandoned property. You're going to be able to zoom in and click on it or search the address. And these are all the things that you'll get access to, minus the buy documents. I mean, you'll have access to it, but that does come at a cost. Okay. So does anybody have any questions regarding that before I start showing you guys how we can bend all that data to your advantage? If you do, just go ahead and put that, but if not, then let's have fun.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's use another market here. That way we can jump around. Orlando. Hey, you guys be safe out there, right?
Mhm.
See what's heading your way in the next few days. So, yeah, be safe. So, Orlando, when we do lead generation, here's the difference between searching an address. When you pull up a market, and by the way, you can search by county, city, or zip code. We also have this draw search feature, which works wonderfully with our heat map. At the top right of the map, we have this heat map here that gives you 4 categories. So like I'm not familiar with Orlando. I'm not a native to this environment. So if I wanted to know how the values break down in Orlando, I would use the heat map. I would use the heat map and perhaps say, show me the estimated values by square footage or lot size or just estimated values. And there you have it. It's going to populate. The color legend is right here. It tells you what the red means, what the light blue means. You have MLS stats. So, hey, you know what? Those were just county records. Show me listing prices instead. So show me the listing prices because, again, we have MLS data. And so we can see if there's any correlations between the estimated values and listing prices. And then the fan favorites are these two right here. Like, show me the market, but how it's grown over the last year. And I can pinpoint areas where there's been concentrations of growth. And then rental values. So if my whole objective is to acquire an asset for rental purposes or long term, what are my rental values looking like? I need a property that rents out between 500 to 1,000. That might be your colors right here. If you want something that rents out between like 2,000, 2,500, your market might be further north or so forth. What's cool is you could also utilize the heat map with the draw search feature. For example, show me the growth over the year. Here's a market that's starting to see some movement here. What I can do is I can use the draw search feature and be preemptive, start searching south of that market because I believe if it's going to grow here, it's going to start bleeding southwards. So show me all the records in this market. So again, you can search by county, city, zip code. You have the draw search feature, and feel free to use the heat map to kind of help guide you on what's the hottest part in that market. However, whatever you decide, whether that's county, city, zip code, when you pull up this market, we're not showing you every address that's in this market. Rather, we're showing you addresses that are going through some sort of situation. So there's 300,000 plus addresses going through some sort of situation. And if you want to click on each one to manually find out what that scenario is, feel free. Again, you're going to have access to the property details. Have fun. I don't recommend that. Here's what we're going to do to help you with organizing this. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to show you the first 8 categories that we have here at the top. So out of those 300 plus thousand records, 8,000 are on the MLS. 1,800 are in pre-foreclosure, right? 9,600 have a lien or it's vacant. Now, I would honestly recommend that you get familiar with this guy. This is our search filter. And the reason I want you to get familiar with that is because you actually have a lot more options than these 8 guys here. So in our search filter, here's the breakdown. On the left-hand side, you have over 120 filters. You don't see them all because they're hidden in categories. But as you, I want you to kind of view this area kind of like a buffet. Like when you go to a buffet, you're going to be able to put whatever you like on the plate, right? And think of that, and we're going to talk about that in a few moments, but that's how I view this area. In the middle, our quick list choices drop-down menu, you'll have 19 options. And this is why I want you to get familiar with the filter, because the first 8 options are in the drop-down menu. Those are the first 8 options, but you have 11 additional options: free and clear, delinquencies, failed listings, and senior owners, and even our deceased owner database. Okay. So that's the middle area. My analogy, this is like going to a fast food restaurant, because when you go to a fast food restaurant, you have to choose a number, right? So quick list choices, what number would you like? Oh, you want number 13? Here you go. So there's number 13, right? And then you can add your toppings. So you can combine the two. So not only do I want a number 13, but I make sure the owner's not in that property, right? Because, whatever you want to keep doing, you can do that with these additional filters. And then on the right-hand side, that's like your summary. So as you're building your list, you're going to see what you're doing on the right side. And if you change your mind at any point, rather than going back here to deselect it, you can just highlight, hit the X button, and they'll do the maneuvering for you. Okay. So there's a lot of options and a lot of selections, but let's just make this short, simple, and sweet. I like to share with people the 2 ways that you can do lead generation with PropStream. The first way, I like to call the traditional search, and that starts with the list. Just like you would in the past, you go out there and you grab a list. You can do that in PropStream. So if you're familiar with that approach, pick a list. Then make sure it's off market, because again, right after you generate a list, you're going to need to decide, do I buy it on market or do I prefer it off market? Thankfully, we have the MLS data and filters, so you can dictate whether you want on or off market. Number 3, I'm going to leave it up to you, but I don't know what you know in terms of exit strategies, but make sure you apply your equity. Do you want high, low, negative numbers? You can apply that in PropStream. And then last but certainly not least, this is a common mistake that can cost you a lot of marketing money. Please specify the type of property and owner type you're looking for, because if you don't need a church or a school that didn't pay their taxes, then make sure that you're looking for those single family properties that are delinquent. Same with the owner characteristics. If you don't want to talk to a corporate office or a trust, make sure you select individuals. Okay, so these are the traditional 4 steps. You can keep going on and on if you'd like, but what that looks like here would be list first. Let's show all the delinquent properties. MLS status, got to make sure it's off market. Equity, let's say I'm going to do something creative. Maybe I want to, get all the properties all the other guys are avoiding. So let's do, -10 to maybe 20% in equity, low to a little bit of equity. There's your 204 remaining now. And then property and owner characteristics, like I don't need vacant land, I don't need duplexes. So make sure we find all the residential only, not commercial, and make sure they're single family with no more than 4 bedrooms. Maybe I can put a year built. Maybe I can decide whether there's an HOA or no HOA. We'll leave that up to you again. And then ownership info. Remember, the list you're about to build and market to is the list that's going to call you back. So you get to control who's actually calling you back. If you want individuals calling you back, then just make sure your list has individual owners. Once you do that, there are your 106 delinquent properties that are off market with the right amount of equity for your strategy and the property and owner characteristics that you desire. If you want to keep going, that's what we call list stacking. And that's what Michael was talking about. And I think that's amazing because you can really get creative. For example, not only did you not pay your taxes, but you have a monthly mortgage to worry about every single month as well, right? So here are my 68 with open mortgages that aren't paying their taxes versus the ones that are free and clear and not paying their taxes. There might be a level of motivation to sell versus one group over the other. And that's what we call list stacking. And you can do that. The whole point of PropStream is we have the data collected. And again, we made it communicate. So you can go in here and do all that fun stuff. So this is the traditional approach. Starts with the lists. Then you make sure it's off market with the right amount of equity and property and owner characteristics and any other filters that you desire. From there, you can now hit close. see your 68 results by clicking on their addresses, or you can check them all off and create that marketing list. So we can now hit add to list. We can take these 68 results and add them to a list we already have, or in this case, create a new one because I don't have an Orlando tax list, but I can do that now. But before I let you guys go on the lead generation part, one thing I like sharing with everybody is, you guys are in a evolution of real estate in terms of data. I believe that this is the new way of doing things. It's called building situations. A lot of us are buying data that you could also acquire from these major providers. Right? We're doing it much faster. We're doing it much frequently, right? So it's a lot of money involved in collecting this amount of data. But what we decided is to, again, allow you to take full advantage of all of that data. And so unlike most of our competitors out there that still allow you to pick a list, we are allowing you to not do that. So what's cool about Promption is I can go in here and think of a situation, and if the filters are there, I can probably create it. I'll give you guys a few examples. But before we do build a situation, I would first follow these 3 rules, and that's just decide whether it's on or off market, apply your equity and property and owner characteristics, okay? Now, I don't need to do that because we technically already did that. So all I have to do is deselect that list. So there you have it, everything that's off market with the negative 10 to 20% in equity, 1 open mortgage. That's a thing I still want. But here's the situation. Rather than choosing a list like most platforms will force you to do, I don't have to do that. What I can do is I can come up with the situation instead. Like, for example, I want everyone with 1 open mortgage. That mortgage was originated about 4 years ago. And no sooner than that, or so 4 years ago. Let's go back to December 30th and before. And here's the caveat. Not only is this mortgage originated 4 years or more, it's an adjustable rate mortgage, which means it's going to mature. And I want to get you before it matures, right? Because I don't know if that maturity is going to cause you to miss your payments. That might be the default reason, right? Your $2,500 payments just went up to $3,200 because it went up 2 points because it just matured. Now I could wait for you to be on a list, or I could do that. And that's what I tell people all the time. What's really cool is that you have all this data to your advantage, and you can do these unique things like, hey, show me all the adjustables that are 4 years old, 6 years old, 9 years old, right before the maturity date. And not only that, but there are things like right now, one of the hottest topics is interest rates. Interest rates are dropping, but you know how many millions of Americans don't know that? So show me everyone with low equity, they've lived in this house for 10 years or more. And here's the motivation. Your interest rate's like 7% or higher, right? Now's a good time to sell, right? I can work with you. We can lock in, something like creative. You can get a cash flow. You can move into something more modern, and that cash flow can help pay for your new mortgage.
That's
Right.
wild to
So
think about, that some people have owned their house for a decade with a 7% mortgage and they didn't refi. That's wild.
you again, and that's the thing, Michael, too. I love that it is wild. It's like fathomable for us who are real estate professionals in our expertise to think that. But I tell people all the time, there are millions of Americans out
Oh,
there
yeah.
who are working, 2, 3 jobs, and they don't have the time to look at their phone to know, hey, the Fed's just dropped the rates. So even people with a lot of equity, I can go in here and say, hey, 7%, and do they have at least 50% in equity? And here you go. These are cash offers. These are creative seller finance deals. These are, if you're an agent, these could be potential listings.
Yeah.
Again, it's your job to solve these problems, and some of these homeowners don't know that one of their problems, which is not always at the top, can be solved. Hey, that high interest rate, did you know it can be 2 points lower because this is where the market is at right now?
Yeah. One of
Have
this,
you
I don't know
considered
if
selling?
Burton, I don't know if you call this a situation or not, but I'll describe what I'm looking at today in Henderson, Nevada. You can stay in Orlando, it doesn't matter. But it's a listed property, so it's on the
Mhm.
MLS, yes. Owner's equity is greater than 50%, and days on market is greater than 45.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely we can do that. So on markets, And then we go to our MLS status. Oh, let me remove the on market no, because that's an oxymoron there.
Mhm.
And then days on market. You said 45?
45.
50? Oh,
Yeah,
45. So
doesn't matter.
45 days. And did you want it? I'm sure you wanted it as a for sale listing, right? Not a for
Correct.
rent listing?
Correct.
Okay,
For
so there
sale.
you go. So here are your on markets, residential single family, 4 bedrooms or fewer. Those are just the preferences I added earlier.
Yep.
These were for sale listings that are on market. So these are on
Yep.
market now, 45 days or more with 10 years of ownership. That was a preference from before.
Sure.
Owner type individual and 50% or more in equity. There you
Yeah,
have
and
it.
the reason I'm looking at that, guys, why because I'm trying to find opportunities that might be open for two different types of offers. One is a cash offer, right? If they have reasons to move or whatever, maybe they can take a cash offer. But I'm also trying to do these, 50, 40, 10s. You guys hear me talk about where I go get a 50% mortgage with Velocity. I get a 40% mortgage from the seller, hence the 50% equity number. And I only have to bring 10% down, right? That's
Mm.
how I'm trying to use different tools that I bring you from different providers, like Stephen Dow at Velocity Mortgage, 90% CL combined loan to value. That's how I'm using PropStream's data to help me zone in on properties that might even be open for that.
That is a smart strategy there, Michael. You just dropped the gem. But yeah, guys, this is our lead generation. So again, this is one thing I love sharing with everyone is that there's so many situations out there that are not on a list that we can obtain, but because the data now communicates with each other, I'm almost certain there are many things that you can do that people haven't even thought about yet because of
Yeah.
just the sheer amount of filtering that we have. But remember, that's just part one. Once you do
Hey,
build your
Bert, real
list and
quick,
save it,
real,
yeah.
real quick,
What's up,
Bert,
Michael?
instead of 50%, can we do
Yeah.
free and clear? I just want to see how big a drop that is.
Yeah,
So right now we have
absolutely.
548. What would it
Yeah,
be
and you know what
free
I
and clear?
noticed? It was including pending transactions. So let me just make that adjustment to just active. Make
There
sure
we
it's
go.
still active, not pending. And then free and clear, that would be in our mortgage info section. Free and clear right here. Let's include all of those. So we're down to 108 active, not pending. So active, free and
Okay.
clear properties.
So there's 108 listings that are owned free and clear that have been on the market for greater than 45 days.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is right now is I'd find a way to write up an offer on all of those. that's that's
Yeah.
that's how my brain works.
Definitely. That's smart there. But yeah, there you have it. That's one way. And another one, Michael, I thought this was very interesting. A few sessions ago, someone asked me this very interesting question. And I guess when I was talking about building situations, they just immediately thought about it. And they were like, "Hey, do you have deceased owners with reverse mortgages?" And
Ooh, yeah.
yes, that's exactly what the moment they said that, I was like, oh, I never thought of that before. And yeah, we have some. I guess maybe not in Orlando, but let's check Henderson. Let's see if we can find one there. There's one. Deceased owner reverse mortgage. Do the heirs know that they're losing equity every month? That's a
Yeah, look at
problem that
that.
might need to be solved. But these are, again, the things that I really love about our platform is that it gives you that out of the box thinking because of just that sheer amount of filtering that you can do. And so run with that. Run with that information, guys. Again, a lead, in my opinion, is not always going to be on a list. And I think that's the advantage that you'll have over AI. Sometimes these AIs only look at certain categories where you, the human mind, can think outside of those categories a little bit. So have fun with that. But remember, that's just part one. Once you do save your list, whatever that list is, you can either export it from our My Properties page. So if you just need the addresses and addresses only, go ahead and export them from this area here. We do again have our skip tracing for 12 cents an address. So if you want phone numbers and emails, you can do that within PropStream. And then our campaign area. 3 reasons to go in here, and that's to set up a website for your lists, send them postcards, or to send them emails. But that's PropStream in a nutshell for you guys.
Yeah, for me, when I think about PropStream, I think your analogy of a jigsaw puzzle is right. Right? You've ever since the beginning, you've gone out to gather records, and then you've tied them together in a database via APN number and ownership and all of those things. And then it's just how we use that. There are folks like Jason Pritchard, who have $50,000, $60,000 monthly budgets for marketing, and he's doing ads and cards. Then there's people like me who has no team, no interest. only looking at on-market MLS, but you can even help me kind of figure out which creative option makes sense. Hence the high equity, looking for somebody who's listed, so I know they want to sell. And then there, I can write up two different offers, one cash and one 90% CLTV. So PropStream brings this around for everyone, and you could do it at different levels. So I just like what you guys have here. Guys, you have any questions, or you want to have them poke around in one of your cities or zip codes? Let us know. We got a few more minutes.
Yeah, definitely do. So I'm open to any questions you guys might have. Unless I don't see any questions, the one feature I do want to highlight before I let you guys go as well is the list automator. We get a call out questions like, hey, that list automator, you brought up that add-on. What does it do? So it is an add-on. It's an additional $27 a month to your $97 subscription. So we're talking about roughly $130 a month if you acquired List Automator. There are four reasons to get List Automator. The first one would be to automate a list. We talked about that earlier. So I could take that, for example, Orlando list that we built earlier with all those filters that I have. So either, again, I could write these filters down and then I search them every day to see which new records have appeared. Or with List Automator, we give you this button here at the top that allows you to automate that list. And what that means is when a property gets updated into our database that matches your criteria, we can actually move it for you. So we can add it to this list, another list, or you can do it yourself. So not only can we do automation to these new records that match your criteria, but we can send you that email immediately as well. On top of identifying new records that meet your criteria, we can monitor what's in your list as well. So if any of these 68 properties that you have in here change from your exact search criteria, then the opposite can happen. We can remove them from the list because why are you going to call someone who's on market now? Unless that's, again, a strategy that you can work with. But let's say I'm strictly off market only and something goes on market, I need to know that. Or if it sells, let's say someone else buys it in cash and that got recorded and PropStream obtains that information, I can remove that so I don't have to call the homeowner and look like an idiot or whatever. So it brings in the new records automatically and it cleans up your lists and removes the old records automatically. And whether it's new records or old records, we can email you for both ends. And so once you automate your lists, we put it in the automated list area here. Think of this like the VIP section for your marketing list. But what's cool about it is any list that you click on here is now again being searched every day. So when you click on your Las Vegas tire landlord that you had here with 153 properties, you can see if there's any changes at the top, which today there are none. So let's check out our next list that has 40, and here you go. Out of my 40 properties, 25 of them need to remove because we have 2 of them that just sold. We have 2 that are vacant, 22 have a lien, or whatever other scenarios that are happening. So the cool thing is I don't have to manually go through the 40 to find the 2 that just sold. I can just click on these 2. Here they are. Check those guys off. Go to actions, delete those records, and now I just call the remaining 38 properties. And not only do I call the remaining 38 properties, but guess what? Since you've last been here, 6 new properties with this criteria has appeared. What do you want to do with those? So again, you don't have to do the search anymore. So you can have 5 different lists, 5 different, completely different filters, all being automated, and our system is doing that search on your behalf and then emailing you, and then you can do those movements as you see fit. So that is our list automator. And on top of the automation, another cool feature that's attached to it is our import feature. Sometimes, well, in the past, we were getting people calling in and saying, hey, I don't like searching address by address by address. So now you can actually do a data dump. You can take the 1,000 properties that you have on that Excel sheet from 4 years ago, put it in PropStream, and we can update it with our current data. You can see how many of those properties are still under ownership, off market, have high equity or low equity, have a bankruptcy, a lien, or whatever the scenarios are happening through those properties. And that's our import feature, which comes with List Automator. So List Automator is a complete enhancement to the My Properties page. And the major components are automating a marketing list, so you don't ever have to do that search again, and then importing outside data so that we can give you our data and you can determine which are still leads or which are not. So I wanted to share that with you. But we do have some questions now. Troy, I see your hand is up. Let me get with Ryan's question first because that's been there for a second, and then I'm going to get with you. So Ryan's question is, did we go over the massive or a discount? Don't know if. Oh yeah. So the Michael actually put the link in the chat at the very top. And so if you click on that link, you'll get Michael's discount and a 7-day trial. So take advantage of that. And if you missed the cost, Ryan, it's $97 a month with Michael's link. Okay. Troy, your hand is up. How can I help you?
Yeah. So I was wondering, do you allow multiple users to share the account? So I know that
Great
another
question.
like basically list search provider, they allowed for users to share the account.
So the answer is no. But here's the real answer I would like to give you. You can't log in simultaneously with the same username. It's kind of like Netflix now, right? Like if you log in with the same username on different IPs, it's going to say, hey, multiple device can't do it. So no, you can't log in simultaneously on the same username. So that leaves you with two options, in my opinion. If you trust the person very, very, very well, then you can definitely just share the username. Just make sure you're not logged in simultaneously. So might just schedule like a calendar date or something. Hey, I'm going to go on from 9 to 12 and you can have the rest of the day, right? That's one option. So if you trust this person, I would probably take that route. That's going to save you money. The other alternative is if it's like a VA. So let's say your VA is pulling your list or your VA is doing the cold calling, but they need the property information in front of you, but you don't want to give them your username and password. That's where the team members come into play. So you can go into our settings area here. You can go to manage team and you can create a team member. It starts at $20 a month, but that gives them their own username and password, and they'll be able to either build a list or search a property and analyze that property. And you do get to control how many downloads they get a month and how much they get to spend. So if you allow them to skip trace on your behalf or send postcards on your behalf through PropStream, you can limit their spending if need be. So I would say those are your two options. The answer is no, you can't simultaneously log in. But if you trust this person, just work out a schedule with them. If not, then I would recommend considering a team member.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, Troy. Great question. Great question.
Very, very
And
cool,
Ryan, you're
folks.
welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, you want to ask a question, raise your hand, put it in comments. We got a few more minutes of Burton's time before we have to wrap this up. Any additional questions?
Generally, what does it cost to run a list?
Well, that's a great question. So for the $97 a month, Troy, well, we're going to give you 10,000 records every single month. And that resets. So the first month, you'll get 97,000 records to pull, essentially save, right? And again, the only reason you would want to save, as we discussed earlier, there's three reasons to save a property. Either to export it. So if I wanted to build, let's say, a list of 5,000 cash buyers and export that, that's going to count against my 10,000, right? I got to save those 5,000 properties and then export that. So three reasons to save a property or add a list. It's to export that data, to skip trace it, or to market to it. If you're not going to do any of that, then you could just go to property detail after property detail after property detail after property detail. But if you start taking advantage of exporting and skip tracing and marketing, 10,000 every single month. And if you still need more, you're going to want to go into our settings area because we do have in our add-on services a way to update your imports and exports if you need to. So if your team grows, which I hope it does, and you're like, man, 10,000 is just not enough anymore, you can go in here and up your account. I think the highest subscription we have is $600 a month, and that gives you 100,000 records a month. So hopefully that's a problem that you'll have in the near future.
Very, very cool. Again, folks, when I see PropStream, it's used by the biggest and best out there, like Jason, Adrian, Omar, and many others. It also can be a tool for us mom and pops, somebody like myself, no team, just a very small buy box, not doing mailers. It just allows me to get insights into MLS listings like never before. Back when we did this in Fresno, California in 0102, I was guessing. I didn't know. But now I can go inside and really use the insights really around mortgages and days on markets to figure out which creative option I want to offer. So it is certainly a helpful tool. Burton, any closing thoughts? We can wrap it up.
Oh, no, just make sure you guys tune in to our social media, or if you are a subscriber, just keep your email as up to date as possible. We have lots of updates coming down the road ahead of us. So tune in for that. I'd love to share with more details, but I am bound to NDAs and all that stuff. So just I can say we're going to have an amazing Q4, Q1, and Q2 of 2025. So things are moving fast. I've been with Proption for about 11 years, and
Wow.
since Stuart Title acquired us in 2022, yes, 2022 is when Stuart Title acquired us. The acquisition has really boosted our development. So we have a lot of things coming your way. So
Nice.
yeah, have fun with that, and hopefully you guys will see me back to
There you
explain
go.
all those new features to you guys.
I will make sure to bring you back, Burton. Anytime, guys. Thank you for being here. You're amazing. Oh, Troy's your hand up again, or is that the old questions? I just saw it.
That's no question.
All right. All right, guys. Take care, Burton. You're amazing. Take care, guys. Later.
Thank you, Michael.